What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of D. Haynes and Doc Fantasy Sports Podcast. I'm here live just to give you guys a little quick show for the Week 16 injury report, as well as a little bit of position ranks that I put together for you guys for this week as well. So you guys can take a look at before the 1 o'clock games today and get your lineup right, you know? Gotta get it right. But first, we'll just go over kind of the injuries real quick. And these are some pretty big injuries as of late for this week, and some of them are still questionable until game time. So just kind of give you guys a heads up. I wanted to wait until late as possible in order to do this show, just to have you guys be able to have a little bit more of an idea of when, if they're actually going to play or not, because we got 30 minutes until game one at 1 o'clock. So let's get right into it here. We got C.J. Stroud, concussion. He still remains out for Sunday's game against the Browns, so he will not be playing. You got Geno Smith. He is actually back this week against the Tennessee Titans, so that is good for the Seattle Seahawks. Trevor Lawrence is still questionable for Sunday's game, still due to concussion symptoms, and that will be against the Buccaneers. That would be a big loss for Jacksonville Jaguars if Trevor is not able to play. And that is a huge game for them currently. Will Levis, ankle, is still questionable for Sunday's game against Seattle. Still up in the air. It's game time decision. Zach Wilson is concussion, and he is concussion. Yeah, well, the way he's been playing. I'm kidding. No harm. But no, Zach Wilson is out with a concussion still. Aaron Rodgers is going to be out probably the rest of the year, just so you guys are aware of that. He's probably not going to be coming back since they're not going to be able to make the playoffs. Jonathan Taylor is off his injury, so he will be playing against the Falcons today. That's a big pickup for the Colts. And Zach Moss is out this week. So that's kind of good that Jonathan Taylor is able to come back for them. But yeah, Zach Moss, his arm has been ruled out. Brian Robinson Jr. is out for Sunday's game for the Commanders. Ramondre Stevenson is out for the Patriots. So Elliott will be taking his spot. Big advantage for Zeke Elliott going against one of the worst running defenses in the league, in the Broncos. Josh Jacobs, this is the one everyone's asking about. He is still questionable with a quad injury. That game isn't until tomorrow night. So just keep your eyes on that. It's kind of tough. I get it if you need him as your running back. But everyone is like, honestly, this is the biggest question of the week for a lot of fantasy people. But right now he's still questionable. It's the cards are in your favor. If you want to play him. If not, if you don't think he will be able to show up tomorrow, it's kind of a gut feeling. Kenneth Walker is questionable for Sunday's game. It looks like he will be playing, guys. Just to give you guys a heads up, it looks like that he will be the number one spot, and then Zach Charbonnet will get some touches as well. Alexander Mattison is questionable for Sunday's game against the Lions. I don't see him coming back. It's looking kind of like he's not going to be able to come back. But, yeah, I love the injury report. You know, I got you, boo-boo. I finally got the chat working now, finally. No, I know. I'm doing your job. I miss you. No, you're good. But he's questionable. Isaiah Pacheco, he will be playing. He's finally off the injured reserve list, so he will be playing against the Raiders. McKinnon will be out for the game for Kansas City. Like I said, Zach Moss will be out. A.J. Dillon is questionable for Sunday's game. If you have Aaron Jones anyways, I'd play him against the Panthers just due to the fact that the matchup is in his favor. Deontay Foreman is questionable for personal reasons. That would be a big loss for the Bears. He did miss practice Thursday, but I guess if it's personal, you don't really know. Mitchell out for the season for the Ravens due to that really bad knee injury last week. Other big ones, let's see here. Tyreek Hill still questionable for Sunday's game against the Cowboys, but I did hear he is going to be suiting up most likely. I don't see him missing that big game. Zay Flowers is questionable with a foot injury Monday night for the 49ers. He does have a little bit of time to rest, an extra day to rest, so maybe he'll be back. That's still up in the air. Nico Collins is questionable for Sunday's game. I heard that he may be leaning towards coming back more than not being able to play. So just give you guys a heads up on that. It's more of a 60-40 option currently right now. Juju Smith-Schuster is out for Sunday night's game against the Broncos. Michael Pittman was ruled in, but now he is now ruled out for having concussion symptoms last night. So Michael Pittman is not going to be playing, but he will be on the sideline. Christian Watson is doubtful for Sunday's game once again. Jaden Reed is questionable for Sunday's game against the Panthers. That's two big wide receivers for the Green Bay Packers. That's not looking promising for them. Thankfully, it's against a very bad Panthers team. Tony is out for Monday's game for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Mahomes is probably excited about that. He probably just told him to sit out. Marquise Brown is out for Sunday's game as well. And then you have Zay Jones is questionable for Sunday's game. Sky Moore was placed on the injured reserve. He will be officially out for the rest of the year. Wicks is questionable, another Green Bay Packers wide receiver. Remains out would be St. Brown for the Bears. His brother, don't worry. Got everyone a little worried right there probably. Greg Dortch is still questionable for Sunday's game. Jennings, 49ers wide receiver, is out from Monday's game. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to go for the bigger guys now. Jalen Naylor is still out for Sunday's game for the Vikings. Hunter Henry, this is a big one, is out for Sunday night's game against the Broncos for a knee injury. It's a big miss for them as he'd been averaging about 19 fantasy points the last two games. Cole Kmet is still questionable for today's game with a quad injury. That's a big miss up. Michael Mayer for the Las Vegas Raiders is out for Monday's game against the Chiefs. Okwanu, I can never pronounce his last name. The tight end guys for the Titans. Okay, just look it up. You'll know what I mean. He's still questionable for Sunday's game. It's not a big pickup, so you guys are good. Any other big ones that catch my eye? No, that's really about it. So those are the main injury reports so far. There are some big names out there that are kind of injured, unfortunately, for you guys in big times right now. But yeah, so then we will go with our drum roll, please. Our QB fantasy rankings for Week 16. These are kind of the things I put together for you guys. Just now, I am saying these are my rankings personally. I put these together just due to their matchups for this week and kind of like their ceiling value. So number 1, Jalen Hurts. Going up against a 32 ranked Giants secondary, so that would be fun for him. I get Josh Allen. He went up against the Chargers already. That's already passed. We got Justin Fields for 3 at Arizona. Dak Prescott 4 against Miami. Lamar Jackson 5 against the San Francisco 49ers. You got Mahomes at 6, who would be going against the Raiders. We got Purdy at 7, going against the Ravens. Miami, you got Tua at 8, going against I want to say struggling, but I don't know, because he is kind of struggling a little bit. Or not Tua, but the defense for the Cowboys. But he's going against the Cowboys defense, and then Matthew Stafford, as he played already, 9, and then Jared Goff 10. You guys have questions? I'd like to see the questions. Start 2, Bijan, Breece Hall, and JT. See, this one's tough because if you have Bijan, you know why I say it's tough. I'm guessing you had a very, I want to say, not nerve-wracking, but very frustrating fantasy year with your running backs, I'm assuming, if you had those 3 guys. But Bijan, I mean, he's going up against a Colts defense that's ranked 29th defensively against the rush. Just take that in perspective. They do have Grover Stewart back, though, which will help the front line. Breece Hall is going up against ranked 30th Washington Commanders rushing defense. And JT is going up against a ranked 5 Atlanta Falcons rushing defense. To me, I would go with Breece Hall. It's tough for me to say this because I'm a big Colts fan. Okay, so I might be a little biased due to this fact, but I'd go Breece Hall and JT just because Bijan has not been trusted enough this year. I mean, he went up against the Carolina Panthers, which had the worst rushing defense in the league, or one of the worst. They're 31 out of 32. And he put up not even 5 fantasy points. Actually, I don't even think it was even 3 fantasy points. So that's one thing. If I had to pick, I'd go Breece Hall and JT. But Bijan can have a game going against the Colts. It's just due to the fact that he's very inconsistent. And if it's your playoff hopes right now, I'd go with Breece Hall and JT, just because I trust them more. But yeah, thanks for the question. All right, now we're going to go with the Week 16 running back fantasy rankings here, brought to you by no other than us on our D. Haynes and Doc Fantasy Sports Podcast. We got the number 1, Christian McCaffrey. He should be winning MVP, in my opinion, I think, over his counterpart, Brock Purdy. That's just my biased opinion. Number 2, we got Williams. He already played. He put up 17 fantasy points, I believe. Then I got James Cook going up against the Chargers the other night. Unfortunately, that's already passed. I got a couple of these games that have already gone through. Alvin Kamara as well. He didn't have a good game. But yeah, Rachaad White. This guy, I am beyond happy to have Rachaad White on my fantasy team this year. Beyond happy. He gets so much value, not just on the ground, but in the passing game too, from Baker Mayfield. And he's going up against a Jacksonville defense that's kind of been struggling as of late. So I put him at 5. I almost switched him in Kamara, which I probably should have after Kamara's performance this past week. But yeah, so I have Rachaad White at 5. 6, I have Travis Etienne. 7, Mostert. 8, Mixon, as he already played. I think he about had 9 fantasy points. Barkley, he is at 9. Now, I know he goes up against a tough Eagles defense, but it's just Barkley. It's kind of hard to not put him in the top 10 as of late because his performance as of the past 4 weeks have been up. And then they got Breece Hall at 10. Like I said, he's going up against a very struggling Commanders defense, rushing defense. So I think he's going to get a lot of carries today, as well as, actually, I'd say he gets about 15 to 20 touches today. Just due to the fact I feel like if they do get ahead of the Commanders, because I don't think the Commanders will be able to move the ball real well. The only way the Commanders will be able to move the ball is on the ground and not the passing game because their secondary is just way too good for the Jets. So I got Breece Hall at 10. And then we'll move on to the wide receiver rankings. Of course, I got CeeDee Lamb at 1. He's just been having a phenomenal year. But of course, the reason I put I was going to have Tyreek Hill at 1 and CeeDee Lamb at 2. But I wanted to flip-flop those just due to the matchup-wise. I feel like Tyreek Hill has a tougher matchup with Stephon Gilmore. And CeeDee Lamb will go up against Ramsey. It's going to be a great matchup all together. It's just it was kind of hard to pick between those two. But I put CeeDee Lamb at 1. Tyreek Hill at 2. A.J. Brown, I think, will have should have a blowout game today against the New York Giants, which are terrible once again in the secondary. And then 4, I have J.J. From the Vikings going up against a struggling Detroit secondary as well today. Amari St. Brown at 5 going against the Vikings. He just gets too many targets to not put him up there. 6, Mike Evans going up against a struggling Jacksonville secondary. They're ranked 25th against the wide receivers. Stephon Diggs, he had a poor performance this past week. And then DJ Moore going up against Arizona Cardinals secondary. That's been struggling as well. I think Fields and DJ Moore will have a great game tonight or today, just due to the fact of their matchup. Deebo Samuel going up against the Ravens. I have him at 9, and DK Metcalf at 10, going up against a 27 ranked secondary defense from the Tennessee Titans. And now we'll move on to our tight end rankings. Got 1, Travis Kelce going up against the Raiders. 2, TJ Hawkinson going against the Lions. 3, David Njoku. I have him in that picture for a reason, because I feel like he has been one of the top tight ends in the league the past 3 weeks, especially ever since Joe Flacco has taken under center. I mean, he's the number 2 wide receiver for Joe Flacco, and he's not even a wide receiver behind Amari Cooper. Trey McBride going up against a Bears secondary against the tight end. They're not the best at, unfortunately. The running game's great, against the wide receivers. They're doing really good this year, but the tight end is kind of where they're struggling. It's kind of their struggle suit right now. So, Sam Laporta going against the Vikings. I have him at 5. Evan Ingram I have at 6, going up against the Buccaneers secondary that's been struggling as well. Now, due to the fact that Trevor Lawrence is still questionable, it's going to be kind of tough to put Evan Ingram up there if Trevor doesn't play. He just performs so much better with Trevor Lawrence under center. But if he's not, we'll kind of see how he does with the backup quarterback. George Kittle at 7, going against the Ravens. 8, I got Jake Ferguson going against the Miami Dolphins that are actually pretty good against the tight ends. 9, Isaiah Likely against San Francisco, which are actually kind of pretty poor against the tight ends. I'm pretty sure they're like 26 or something like that. They're mid-20s, I know that. And then Dalton Kincaid, as he already played before, he did not have a good game. He's going to be out of my top 15 probably next week, just so you guys have heads up. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's all I kind of had for today's games. I kind of just wanted to touch base a little bit here with you guys, just to kind of give you a little bit of an injury report, and then as well as kind of just making sure that you guys knew kind of what was going on, around the league, because all these injury reports are back and forth quite a bit, and we just want to make sure we're on top of things, But yeah. I'll keep this up a little bit. If you guys have any other questions, any late questions, games start here in 15 minutes. If you have any other questions for me, I'll keep this open for, I'll say about 5 minutes. I'll let you guys look at it for about 5 minutes. Have any other questions about your rosters, any other injury updates, or any other questions in general for your playoffs, or just let me know how your playoffs are going. That would be huge. Are you in the winners bracket? Are you in the losers bracket? Where are you guys at? Sorry, guys, I'm mixing up my oatmeal here. I do apologize. I am eating on air, but